What is going on, fellow Commanders of Caw? My name is Dan,
I'm Chris.
and welcome to another edition of Commanding Caws, the Baltimore and Washington football sports talk show. Before we get into today's video, we just wanted to start out by saying thank you to everyone who watched our NFC East video. This video will be out after the AFC West video is out, but Chris, tell us a little bit how that video did.
We had over 300 views, decent amount of likes, and decent amount of comments for our previous videos in comparison. And I just want to say thank you guys for all the interactions. Even if they were hateful comments, they really weren't that bad. All of you guys are amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you guys.
They weren't hateful, they were just on fire for their own teams, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate
So,
that passion for your team.
absolutely. So again, thank you. Go ahead and like a video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll keep putting out some quality content. Chris, you look like you want to say something.
And speaking of quality content, we also did a little bit of an update when it comes to the actual scenery of what you guys see. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you got any tips or if you got any suggestions, feel free to throw it in the comment section. We are listening to them.
I will say we're not going to make it a big giant Dallas thing in the background, just FYI, but, or Cleveland. But let's go ahead then. Here's a video. So Chris, at the time of this recording, the AFC West video is scheduled to come out in a couple days. We have done the AFC North, we've done the NFC Beast. What is today's video going to be about?
We are going to be doing the NFC South, starting off with the Buccaneers. So guys, just giving you a heads up, if you see me looking over to the side, just like in the other videos, I'm updating our little bracket that we have here that is going through and telling us who's winning what, so we can come back to this in the end of the year and laugh at ourselves, or pat ourselves on the back to see how we did.
I'm hoping to see a lot more green than red, but you know. So to start off, we're going to start in Tampa Bay, and their preseason, they're playing the Steelers, they're playing the Jets and the Ravens. We haven't really been talking about the preseason too much, so really the season starts on September 10th, and they're playing the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. Now I have my thoughts. How do you feel, Chris?
Well, Kirk Cousins got a 1 o'clock game, so I think he's going to do pretty good. And I think
I
Justin
agree.
Jefferson's probably one of the better receivers in the NFL, so I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be that good. I think the Vikings are going to be pretty decent. I say the Vikings win this one.
I agree. And here's the thing, too. We've already gone a game in, but how do you feel about Baker Mayfield as the quarterback for Tampa this year?
So I like Baker, but I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, personally. I also think he hasn't been given the correct shot that he should be given. He's going to have a heck of a receiving room to be able to throw to. I mean, Mike Evans is probably one of the better receivers in the NFL. Is Godwin still there?
I am not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I think so. I agree. I think he's a good quarterback. He messed up his elbow or something like that, and it really kind of brought his stock down. I think, personally, the Browns were foolish to get rid of him, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's like looking a looking a gift horse in the mouth and not going over with what you guys. I mean, you guys didn't have a quarterback for years, and then you get Baker Mayfield, and he just does a good job for you guys. And I know that they wanted to see better results, but this isn't about the Cleveland Browns, so I'll stop it there, guys. I promise.
And Baker's probably the second or third best quarterback in the division. Personally, I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about him versus like Derek Carr. I think he's better than Desmond Ridder currently and Taylor Heineke.
Absolutely.
Bryce Young is a little unproven right now. So honestly, if you told me that Baker was the best quarterback in the division, I'd buy into it.
I think it's a coin flip between him and Carr, personally. So I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%
Yeah.
on that.
But yeah, we're going to say Minnesota. That is an L for the Buccaneers. The Bears, I don't know. Are we putting too much stock into the Bears this coming season? Because this is in Tampa. It's the second week, still beginning of the season. The gears are turning. The cobwebs are getting dusted off. I don't know. I personally think Chicago could win this, but what do you think?
So when it comes to the Bears, I think that Justin Fields has been developing the way that they want him to. He showed a lot of great flashes last year. I personally think the Bears actually win this.
DJ Moore, I mean, he's not playing against the Panthers, but I mean, he's probably not a huge fan of Tampa, so.
I would imagine not, and he's played against them, very familiar. He might know how to scratch up their defense a little bit.
They're going to be 0-3 because, according to our NFC Beast video, the Eagles win against Tampa here.
And I absolutely agree with what we were saying in that video. The Eagles are the better team. They're going to be playoff contending teams, if not Super Bowl contending teams, once again.
Absolutely. Now, the Saints, that's a question mark. I mean, again, Derek Carr versus Baker Mayfield. This is, what, week 4 at this point. So is Michael Thomas healthy? Is he back?
See, I think that's the question mark. I actually don't know if he's healthy all the way yet. Here's my issue with the Saints. They're kind of in the same boat that the Buccaneers are, where, and I also mentioned this because I do know the Saints fans. The Saints have had Tampa Bay's number for the last couple years.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I think the Bucks start out 0-4. Unfortunately, I actually didn't even think about this going into this video that this team's not the greatest.
Well, then they get the bye. Do you think that bye is going to rejuvenate them to maybe potentially get a comeback?
It's in Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay takes it in Tampa Bay.
I think it's going to be more competitive. I'm honestly not sure if I want to flip a coin at this point.
You know what? Let's go and get that coin flip going.
All right, so we're going to flip heads. The Bucks win, tails, the Lions win. So I'm not touching it again. As you can see, it's heads. So we're going to say then that the Bucks win here. They get their first win on the season.
And Detroit, that's not saying anything about your team. We actually think that team's going to be a monster this year. Well, I do personally, speaking for myself. I think they're going to be a great team this year. But who I don't think is going to be a great team, because, I mean, the whole division, I mean, that's kind of where it kind of comes to with the NFC South. The whole division's got to find themselves. They have to mesh with themselves to be able to find what kind of teams they're going to be. So we could have a team come out of this division out of nowhere and be amazing. I don't think it's going to be the Buccaneers, and I don't think it's going to be the Saints. So the Falcons, I think, are going to be a pretty decent team, but I think this is an equal matchup. It's the beginning of the year. I think the Bucks walk away with this one.
You said everything I wanted to say, so yeah, there we go. However, though, the Bills, they're in New York.
They're
Sorry,
hold that
Bucks. Yeah, Baker and the Bucks are going to go and take an L there. Now the Texans.
This is a better
That's
game.
one. It's more of an evenly matched game, but honestly, I would give the Texans. I'd probably give them the slight edge.
I 100% agree with that statement. I think the Texans are actually going to be a sneaky team this year. Not that they're going to win their division by say. We'll get to that once we get to the AFC South, but I think the Texans walk away with the victory on this one.
The Titans. Oh, I think Titans are going to be number 1 pick contention, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks win this one.
I think so as well. I think the Buccaneers are going to walk away with this one.
49ers, I've been saying for a couple weeks now, if you watch some of our other videos, I think they're going to regress, but I still think they beat Tampa Bay here.
I think they get out coached here, so I 100% agree with that statement as well.
Indianapolis, that's a 1 o'clock game. It's in Indy. You know how, like, in our earlier video, I think it was the AFC West one, like, I was like, what's your initial gut reaction? My initial gut reaction is the Bucks are going to win this one.
And see, that's kind of where I'm at. And then one little sneaking thing came into my head. Wasn't their run defense one of the worst last year?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And the Colts have probably one of the better running backs in the NFL.
Jonathan Taylor? Yeah.
That's kind of where my gut reaction went to initially. I think this one could be a coin flip.
Okay. All right, I am touching it once. And let's see. That's a head, so the Bucks win.
Buccaneers walk away with the victory. Are they going to...
Alrighty.
Oh, no, never mind. They can't sweep the AFC South because they already lost to the Texans, according to us.
Now, we'll talk more about the Panthers here in a moment, but if there's any team in this division that I see could really have a breakout year, it's probably the Panthers. Watch me be completely wrong, but...
I'm 100% with you on that. I think the Panthers have a chance to shock the entire NFC South and walk away with it. If not them, most likely the Saints. That's just my personal opinion so far.
I see. My other take was going to be maybe the Falcons, so... But I think we're in agreement it's not Tampa here.
I don't think it's Tampa here. I think the Panthers walk away with the victory.
And then the Falcons again.
So now we're in Atlanta. I think the Falcons walk away with the victory here.
Yeah, very slim margin. Oh, I wanted to say earlier, too, with the Lions, kind of like this game, probably going to be like a field goal or a touchdown that decides this, like last minute.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Now, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is gone. This is going to be Jordan Love's year to kind of just really show who he is. I still think the Packers are the better team here, personally. I could see the Packers winning this by a touchdown or two.
Yep, I 100% agree with that statement. If we weren't to pick the Packers, I would say we'd do a coin flip, but I don't think we need to for this one. I think Jordan Love is probably the better quarterback from what I've seen between him and Baker Mayfield, and this is including the fact that Baker Mayfield had an injury that's kind of been hindering him since. So I personally think the Packers walk away with victory on this one.
I agree. Now, the Jaguars, that's kind of like... Long story short, somebody said that the Jaguars were going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't agree with that, but I still think that they're going to do really well.
What?
I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the last video or something, but yeah, someone said Jacksonville was going to be number one in the AFC, and I don't buy into that. But
Jacksonville fans, put it in the comments why you guys think you guys are going to be the number 1 seed. I could definitely see the number 3 seed or number 2 seed. I'm
absolutely,
sorry.
they're going to take their division.
Baltimore's going to take everything. No, I'm just kidding. But Jacksonville
and
will
plus
be a good team.
Hey, Seahawks fans, that's what we are.
Got to remember that.
But no, I think the Jags are going to win their division. We'll talk about that another week. But no, I look for the Jags to be pretty dang good this year.
Now, going over to the Saints, do we think that they're going to split? Because that's kind of where I'm thinking it's going to happen here.
If you really sat me down and asked me if I thought that the Saints were going to sweep Tampa, I could see it because of the past. Obviously, different quarterbacks, different situations. But at this point, potentially, I'm thinking that Tampa's trying to tank, potentially, try to get a better draft pick.
Ooh, they could be tanking to try to get that quarterback. Can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he's really good coming out of can't remember what college.
I don't even know if they're going to be playing Baker at this point in the season. If he's like, what is their current record?
Currently, not counting the last 2 games, they got 5 wins.
Not a hater, but potentially he could be benched at this point. I could see them losing again to the Saints. And I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, I already know we're going with this. We're on the same.
We're on the same page. Yep. Carolina is going to beat them again, sweep. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to be number 1 pick contention, but I believe they would probably get a top 5 pick.
Top 5 pick is what I'm thinking as well. So, what does that put them at 5-12 for the season? I think.
Oh dang! I'm sorry, Tampa. But hey, they got their ring a couple years ago. They're probably not too upset.
You guys are in a rebuild phase. This whole division is in a rebuild phase, so it's just going to be whoever
Absolutely.
at the end. Whoever's rebuild is ahead is who's going to win the division. Which is, I mean, it's an obvious statement, but that's the best way to describe it.
But let's go ahead then and move over to Nollins and talk about your surprise team coming up this year. Let's talk about them Saints.
Them getting Carr, I think it's going to be a big deal for them. I actually think he's a lot better than most people think he is.
Where's Jameis Winston now?
That's a good question. I actually don't know that one. But I think that the Saints or the Panthers are probably going to win this division. If you had me put money on it, it'd be the Saints. I'd pick the Saints just because their squad's more gelled than the Panthers would be. So I just personally think the Saints are the better team. They have a better defense. They have pretty good playmakers. I don't think they have the best receiving core. I think Michael Thomas is overrated. You got to be on the field to be able to show how good you are. That's just me personally. I think he's injured a lot personally. And it's nothing against him. Talent-wise, he's amazing.
He needs to stay on the field.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you're saying. There's a reason I don't really pay attention to New Orleans and the Saints, and you and I both know that reason. Yeah, I think we have the same reason, and we're not going to say it. But basically, before you just said all that, I was thinking the Panthers might do it, but I will give you this. Derek Carr is more experienced, obviously, than Bryce Young, so potentially.
That's all I'm going off of there. So, kind of glancing at the preseason games, they go against the Chiefs, Chargers, and the Texans. Texans are a rebuilding squad. I put them on the same level as the Panthers. The Chiefs are playoff, if not Super Bowl bound again. So, Chargers, probably equal playing field there. They could both be playoff teams. So, if they are going against harder competition, iron sharpens iron, I think they'll be in a good week 1 status. What do you think?
I agree. I think as long as they're smart and they don't really play all of their starters in the preseason, because that's what happened. I think Baltimore, they were really injury prone before the 21 season even started. I hope that New Orleans doesn't do that, but no, I agree with everything you're saying. I think the Chiefs are going to win, no issues. Chargers, that's more of a level playing field. The Texans, kind of a level playing field as well, but I could see New Orleans taking the win there. But week 1, I'm saying that New Orleans comes right out of the gate, 1-0. They're beating the Titans.
No offense, Titans fans. We have nothing against your team. It's just, unless you want to go back to like the AFC Central, because then I guess you could say we have something against the Titans. But I have nothing against them personally. I just think they're in a rebuilding year personally.
Absolutely, and I mean Ryan Tannehill, his quality has gone down in the last couple of years. Their number 1 seed in 2021, that was a joke, to be honest. To put it nicely. But no, I think it's going to be Derek Carr versus Ryan Tannehill. Potentially Tennessee is really not going to know what they're going to do this year because obviously they drafted Will Levis. I could see him playing like a game or two over the season. And I feel so bad for Malik Willis because he wasn't even picked in the first 2 rounds last year, and they already drafted another quarterback. So see what happens there. But week 2, Carolina Panthers, that's going to be an interesting game. It's in Charlotte. Do you kind of want to just maybe give them home field advantage? to the Panthers here.
That's 100% what I was thinking. Home field advantage, we give it to the Panthers.
Now, Green Bay versus the Saints. They're a little bit closer in talent than I think most people would assume currently. And of course, Green Bay every draft they get more defensive players when they really need wide receiver. So if you think that New Orleans defense is better, sure, I'll give you that.
With that being said, Packers fans, I think you guys have a great secondary. I just think that the Saints with Derek Carr will probably dice up the middle of the field personally. That's just kind of what I'm thinking when I first started thinking about this game itself. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are probably going to run all over the Saints defense. I will 100% say that. I think they're probably two of the better running backs, and I think they're criminally underrated. But yeah, that's what I personally think is going to happen there in that game. And I think the Packers don't get the win against the Saints. I think the Saints walk away with the victory.
Now, Tampa, we already said they're going to lose, right, to New Orleans?
Yep, so we have them getting another win here. So they're 3-1 starting off the season. That's a good way to start.
Now, how about New England versus New Orleans? I mean, do you think that potentially, which defense do you think is better? Right off the top of your head. Don't even think about it.
That's hard, actually. Because if we're talking about coaching-wise...
Oh, it's Belichick, yeah.
Because Matt Judon, I think, is one of the best players in the NFL. I think he's criminally underrated. And he's on the Patriots, so I personally think Patriots have the better defense. I just think they have a terrible offense.
And it's in Foxborough. I'm cool with giving the Patriots this W.
So that's kind of what stumps me there, is that I want to give it to the Patriots until I start thinking about Mac Jones, not Matt Jones.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It really comes down to, oh, man, you know what? Let's give it to New Orleans then. All right, so next week, they're going to Houston. I think this is going to be a close game as well. I could see a touchdown, maybe a field goal deciding this. I'm honestly thinking we flip a coin here. What about you?
Either we flip a coin or give it to the Texans, because I think home field advantage on that. Because I think the Texans are going to be a sneaky, decent team.
Well, if we're going based off quarterbacks, I mean, CJ Stroud obviously is very dynamic. Derek Carr isn't as good as, like, say, a Lamar Jackson, something like that. Based on quarterback alone, I'm giving it to Derek Carr, but we can flip a coin.
The reason I would go with Texans over him would be their running back that they have. Can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but he did pretty decent last year.
Dameon Pierce?
Yep, that is him.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, flipping the coin. Currently it heads. Tails. All right, so the Texans win this one. All right, so then the Jags, let's just not even waste any time here. The Jags, I think, are going to beat the Saints.
100% agree with that statement there.
Now, I think the Saints could also beat the Colts. I mean, it's in Indianapolis, though. They're going to have Anthony Richardson versus Derek Carr. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Young quarterbacks in the NFL historically do not do well, just in general, their first year. It's going to be a decent defense, probably top 15 at least defense against a quarterback who will be taking his first couple snaps. What is this going to be, like week?
It's like 8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah. I personally think that they walk away with a victory over the Colts.
I agree. I think the Colts are going to throw out Anthony Richardson too quickly, and yeah, it's not going to work out for them. Now the Bears, again, my question, are we thinking too highly of the Bears here? What do you think?
I think the Bears in this scenario do lose against the Saints, but it'll be a good game. Probably about a field goal.
I'm cool with that. The Vikings, it's at 1 o'clock. We got 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins. The Vikings could possibly really be trying to win the division at this point, so I don't know, maybe Minnesota beats them.
I 100% agree with that statement, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. This is when the Vikings are going to be locking it in, trying to get that Division 1. The NFC South, the NFC North is going to be just bonkers this year, so I personally think the Vikings do walk away with the victory over the Saints.
So then they got a bye. Then we got the Falcons. It's in Atlanta. I don't know. Personally, I'm thinking that the bye week might help them to win.
Yep.
Because what's the record at this point with the bye?
7-3.
So at this point, because of that, I think Atlanta potentially wins this one because they have the bye week. If they're 7-3, they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves.
Overlook their opponents. I can kind of stay with that. I agree with that statement.
And then I think the next week too. I think the Lions beat them here.
I think the Lions are the better team.
I agree. It's in New Orleans. Panthers. It's in New Orleans.
I think we have the Panthers losing this one.
Yeah. Okay. If they swept North Carolina, that's fine. Or Carolina. The Giants, what did we say about this one?
This is a loss. We have the Giants winning this game.
Okay. What about the Rams then?
I don't think the Rams are going to be a good squad still. I think they're in their rebuilding phase, so I think the Saints walk away with the victory on this one. Sean McVay, I think he's a good head coach, and that's kind of where it comes down to.
I mean, Aaron Donald, though. Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford.
You swung me. So one thing I want to bring up on this, and I kind of want to go back to it, the Falcons game. I actually think the Falcons lose that game against the Saints. You mind if we flip a coin on that one?
That's cool with me. I was gonna say, why? What makes you want to go back to that one?
So what makes me want to go back to that one is just thinking of the defenses.
Fair.
Because I think
Okay.
the Saints
Let's
have
flip
a
a
little
coin.
bit of a better defense personally. Carr is a little bit of a better quarterback than Heineke, but I think he'll do better against the Falcons defense.
Okay. I mean, we can flip a coin if you want.
Yeah, let's flip that coin.
All
Flip
right, I'm
that
hitting the
coin.
button.
Flip that coin. Okay, they're
And
still
tails.
losing.
Okay, cool. There we go.
The fates
Okay.
have been decided.
Now, did we have Tampa winning this one at the end? No, they probably lose because
we have-
right. That's what I said.
We have the Saints winning this one, and then
I mean, if they're playing in New Orleans the last week, they're probably trying to get a like not a wild card. They want to win the division. I'm saying that they could beat the Falcons here.
yeah, I say we have the Falcons losing this one.
Okay. So what's our overall record here for them?
Give me 1 second to tally it up, guys. 10-7.
Okay. Now let's see if that's enough to win the division. But let's move on to our friends in Carolina, the Panthers. So the Jets, Giants, and the Lions. I could see Carolina trying out Bryce Young at this point. I think Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback. I think Daniel Jones, it's a little bit more evenly matched. I think Jared Goff's a better quarterback. So just if we're just basing off quarterback play, I'm going to say that they're like 1-2 at this point. But it's the preseason. They're just dusting off the cobwebs here. First week against Atlanta. If any teams are going to tie this week, I think it's this game. Atlanta versus Carolina.
And you know what? I think we predict it. I think we predict a tie right here.
Man, that's going to mess things up for our spreadsheet, but
Oh no, well, I'll just change the color to yellow.
there you go. Perfect. Okay. Man, that's a bold, spicy prediction.
I could see it though, and you're 100% right. I imagine the reasoning why is because they're both young squads. We don't know what they're going to be doing. The head coaches probably are going to be doing everything they can, but they're going to be holding back a little bit because it's week one. I 100% think it could be a 27-27 or 28-28 game.
That could be 20-20. Oh, that'd be hilarious. But okay, then the Saints are going to beat them here, right?
So we have the Saints losing here, putting the Panthers at 1-0-1 headed into Seattle.
Well, I mean, man, we're Seahawks fans. I still think that Seattle is going to be the team that surprises a lot of people this year. I can see them beating Carolina.
As a diehard Seattle fan, gotta go with the Seahawks right here.
And then the Vikings, I think Kirk Cousins at 1 o'clock. That's really that's flipping the coin for us. So
I 100% agree with this statement. I think that Kirk Cousins at 1 o'clock going against the Panthers is going to be a big deal.
yeah, I would say here that I don't know. Bryce Young, I think he's good. They might get a wild card spot, but yeah, I'm going to say they lose to Minnesota and Detroit. To be honest with you.
So that's where things get a little bit spicy. I think they lose these next three against the Vikings, Lions, and the Dolphins. The Lions and the Dolphins are both good playoff-bound squads. The Vikings as well on that. They'll get the bye week before going against the Texans, and that's two equal match teams. So I think the Panthers walk away against the Texans.
That works. And then the Colts, you got Frank Reich. That might be a revenge game. It's in North Carolina. I say we give it to the Panthers here. However, though, the Bears, I think the Bears could win this one. They got that might be a
DJ Moore
Do you feel
revenge
like-
game?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think he's gonna be out for blood? I don't think so.
I don't
It's
know
a prime.
who got him, but I actually had 4 rookie signed DJ Moore cards because I kept them, hoping the Ravens would trade for him. They never did, so I ended up selling them. And I hope that Panthers fan isn't too upset with the fact that they don't have DJ Moore anymore.
Well, let's say Chicago then takes this W here, and then the Cowboys. I think we already said they're gonna win against them, right? Like the
Correct.
Cowboys are gonna win here.
That is correct.
Okay. Now the Titans again. I think that Carolina could make a comeback here. They could beat Tennessee, and I believe we had them beating Tampa, right, at this point, or no?
Yep, we have them beating Tampa at this point as well.
Okay. The Saints. I know the Saints win that one. Falcons in Carolina. I feel like Carolina could really be pushing at this point. I mean, what's the record so far right now?
5, and I believe 8.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Do you think they would tank at this point, or do you think that?
I think they would try their hardest because they're going to be. They don't really need a quarterback anymore. It'd be great for them to get a good pick, but I think personally that the Panthers beat the Falcons here.
I could see it. I think it'll be a hard-fought battle. I think it might come down to a field goal. Packers. That's a good question. I don't know. I feel kind of coin flippy on that one.
I feel coin flippy on that one as well.
All right, let's flip that coin. Heads, the Panthers win, and tails, the Packers win. So let me go ahead and pull up. Oh, it's flipping already. Well, that's head. I can do it again if you. Tails? Okay.
Tails. That's it.
Cool. Tails, that means Green Bay wins. Jags, again, I don't think Jags are going to go undefeated. We'll talk about them when the time comes, but I'm saying the Jags are going to beat the Panthers here. Kitty Bowl. And then Tampa Bay. I think we said Carolina would win this one, right?
Yep, that is correct.
And if I'm correct, what, they're 7-10 again?
7, 9, and 1.
Oh, that's right, the tie.
I can see it.
Yeah, I think that Bryce Young is going to need some time to develop. But let's go 28-3 here, and let's move our way over to Atlanta. Speaking of three, their first three preseason games are going to be against the Dolphins, the Bengals, and the Steelers. I think they're going to lose all three.
Poor Falcons. It's not looking good for them to start off.
I mean, that's the preseason, though.
But hey, they get a tie to start off the season.
I was about to say they tie, and then I don't know. How do you feel about Green Bay? Because, I mean, Terrell Heineke is a lifelong Green Bay fan. He said if he was going to be traded anywhere, he would have preferred Green Bay, but I don't think he's too mad about where he ended up.
I think they beat the Packers. I think Taylor Heineke gets his childhood dream, gets to beat the team that he wanted to go to.
Oh, the Commanders beat them last year with him.
So he's played against them before, did good. I think Taylor Heineke gets the win here.
Moving next week to Detroit, I think Detroit's going to win this. What are your thoughts?
I think Detroit's just the better team. They have a better defense. I think Detroit walks away with the victory on this one.
Yep. We're going to have the first two running backs picked in the draft this year going against each other. We got Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Be pretty good competition there. See who was the better of the two. Personally, I think it was Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to do great. So let's talk about the Jaguars now, because the Jags are going to be. It's going to be in Jacksonville.
No, it's in London.
Oh, it's in London. Okay, so this is a London. So that's home field advantage for the Jags. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars walk away 28-3.
All right. The Texans, that's in Atlanta. I could see it being a touchdown game. What do you think?
I 100% agree with that. I think it could be a touchdown game. I think the Texans, still being a young squad, Falcons are going to be trying to win their division.
I think the Falcons win this.
I think the Falcons win this as well.
Now we had the Commanders winning against the Falcons here. What about Tampa? What do we have them doing?
Tampa beats them.
Okay, cool. Now Tennessee, I think, again, the Falcons are going to beat Tennessee.
Yeah, guys, at this point, if you guys are checking Tennessee's record that we haven't got to yet, it's probably going to be 0-17.
Yeah. The Vikings, 1 o'clock, Kirk Cousins. This could be a very interesting game.
This is in Atlanta. I actually think Atlanta wins this.
Let's have Bijan Robinson some time to shine, some Taylor Heineke time too.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals, the Cardinals were taking the L on that one. Sorry.
100% agree with that as well.
Then they get a bye. They go against the Saints. This is going to be a hard-fought game, but I'm trying to remember what we said for the Saints.
We have the Saints losing here, so that makes sense going after the bye. So they both have a bye before they go against each other.
Nice. Okay. What about New York Jets?
The Jets is going to be an interesting one. I personally think that the Jets are the better team.
I think the Jets are the more talented of the two, so I agree.
But then they go against the Buccaneers, and we have them beating the Buccaneers here.
All right, and then the Panthers.
And then the Panthers, we have them losing to here.
The Colts, I could see the Colts just kind of trying to get a better draft pick at this point, so I can see Atlanta winning.
I can see Atlanta winning here as well. And I can also see the Bears walking away with the victory here as well.
Yep, I agree. And the Saints, I honestly forget. I know we just talked about these, but like the way my mind works.
The Saints also walk away with the victory here as well.
All right, so the Falcons, what are we at?
8-1.
So I'm looking here at the spreadsheet. Oh my gosh, the Saints are going to get this with 10-7. I could see it followed by the Falcons, then the Panthers and the Bucks. I could see it if a couple of games go a different way. Potentially it's Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Bucks, but I think we're pretty confident the Bucks are going to be in last, with everyone else kind of fighting for first, but we think the Saints might right now edge.
That's 100% what I agree with. I think the Saints walk away with the win here and win this division. Don't think they'll go far in the playoffs, but they might be making the playoffs based off of what we're saying here.
So yeah, that is the NFC South, everyone. Let us know what you think about this. We love all the comments. Seriously, we love the interaction. Don't be a stranger. So next week, Chris, what do we got up on the docket? Which division we going to?
We got an interesting one. We got the AFC South. Now, still watch the video, but we'll see what the Jacksonville Jaguars finish with, and we'll see what the Titans finish with.
But yeah, go ahead and subscribe to the Commanding Caws for some more quality content, and then drop a like on the video. Definitely join the community. We love talking with everyone, just kind of seeing what everyone feels like. We love interaction, and yeah, no, I feel pretty confident this time. I'm going to go ahead and do it because I feel very happy about our video getting 300 views. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, caw-caw!
I like the sound of it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are amazing. Tell us in the comments what you think your team's going to do this year. If you're one of the NFC South fans, tell us why we're wrong if you're a Tampa Bay fan.
And do you think the Jags would be number one in the AFC? I mean, I don't believe it, but
we'll have to see what happens when we go to do the Jacksonville Jaguars, because looking at their schedule, just taking a glance at it,
it's a tough schedule.
It's a tough schedule. So we'll have to see how it ends up going.